Hey there, thanks for tuning in for the top 7 rock cuts of the week. Here's a look at the rocks that we'll be checking out. Welcome back to all the current subscribers. I think you'll like this video, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you'll like this video too and consider subscribing. All these rocks were found by myself in northern Nevada. Let me know your thoughts and your favorites down in the comments, and let's go ahead and get to it. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we've got some vibrant colors going on, red and yellow and tan, and then maybe a little layer of blue there. And yep, definitely a layer of blue there. We can see on this side's fractured, and that kind of gives away what the inside might look like. So let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, and that is so gorgeous. So it does look a lot like that back side of the rock. The blue is a much larger layer than I thought that it was going to be. And there's some nice pattern in the banding on the yellow part. And then there's even some classic kind of red and white Lahontan pattern at the very bottom there. Very cool. So let's go ahead and take a look at the individual halves. And this is a really unique one because it kind of looks like the layers were put down a sedimentary style. But here there's a clear part where there's a fracture. It's kind of like a lightning bolt that runs through the material. Very cool. So there were probably some secondary processes that happened to the rock, maybe after its initial sedimentary formation. Although that's just a guess from me. I'm not sure about that. Really cool pattern, really beautiful blue to pale blue, and then an interesting white layer that transitions to the nice banded yellow and white. Wonderstone coloration, but not the patterns. Really cool. Okay, let's check out this rock. So this one's a little bit different because it was part of a larger chunk that was mixed material. Some of it was interesting and some of it looked like it was too grainy to be interesting. And so I broke it apart a bit and then decided to give this piece a cut. So let's go ahead and take a look at the inside. And that is really cool. Wow. So the white is really the primary material here. And the yellow brown is a secondary. So that's what was covering a lot of the outside. And here you can see it is what is filling in the veins against the white, which gives it a really unique and stark contrast. I've not seen one like this before. The white material is really, really nice in terms of the quality. It's almost like a porcelain. There's a little bit of pink and red running through some of it. You can see around the perimeter and also towards the bottom of this half as well. Really neat. Okay, let's check out this rock. So this one from the outside, you can see has a light coloration, a bit waxy, looks like a crystal or agate material, some interesting pattern going on and some cavities. I sometimes find smaller pieces of agate material that look kind of like this, but this is one of the larger pieces I found, so I was excited to see what it looked like on the inside. And that is really pretty. Wow, look at that. So there's a lot of variation in terms of the color and the pattern of the crystal, from white to clear to almost lavender in some spots. There's also been some penetration of probably iron, which is giving it the yellow look. And there's what looks like a little crystal cave here. You can see it's got a pretty defined perimeter, and it's not going to be a clear shot here, but you can see there's a little round crystal on the inside of that. That's pretty cool. I don't know that I've found one that's had that exact kind of formation on the inside. Let's take a look at the other half, and this has a bit more of the lavender, and there's also a couple little pockets that look fairly defined as well, although they're tiny here towards the center. Really pretty. Okay, let's check out this rock. So you can see from the outside there's a heavy desert patina, that red layer. The bottom part we were just looking at looked almost rusted. But what was interesting to me was this kind of bright mint green part at the top. And I was curious as to how that might look on the inside and how much of it made it in there. And the rest of the material looked interesting too, but more common for the area perhaps. But enough speculation, let's take a look. And that's pretty neat. Okay, so some of the green color does come through at the top part of the rock where we saw that color on the outside. And the rest of the rock is a really interesting patterned material. So it's not really a deep red, it's actually more of a brown and different shades of brown. And there are a lot of fractures as well in the rock. You can see here at the top that some of that green maybe even filled in as some of the lighter material throughout. I'm not totally sure, but really pretty and really interesting. Yeah, the top part of this rock is really nice with the yellow and then the little bits of green that are showing through. I think that part of it would be really cool. And the banding on the rest of it is quite interesting. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see that it's a very light colored material, maybe a bit waxy, and the patina that's on it is a bright yellow, which is kind of interesting. So I wasn't really sure what this might look like on the inside. I figured that it would probably be a light colored material. It looks like there's almost some banding going on that you can see here on this side. But let's go ahead and take a look at the cut, and that is really cool. So there is banding, and it is mostly that light colored material. There's a little bit more regularity to the banding than I thought that there would be. You can see that the rock's been fractured in a secondary process. We have some of the veins that are filled in with that yellow material, and then you can see that the bands have shifted as well as seeing some of the fractures that are going throughout the rock. And we can see with a little bit of a closer look that the light material is not uniform in color. It goes from white to a light pink. And we can see more fractures running throughout. Let's take a look at the other half of the rock. And yeah, the closer that I look at it, the prettier that I think that it is. I thought that it was a little bit plain at first, but there's actually a bit more going on. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, it was the greenish color that attracted my attention right off the bat, as well as this side looked fairly polished and it looked kind of interesting. It looked like there was almost a grain to it and some other either material or just coloration mixed in. Let's check out the inside, and that is really pretty. So the kind of graininess that we could see on the outside of the rock definitely carries through to the interior, and it's mainly a bluish green material, but as you can see, there's all sorts of other colors and maybe material of different grain sizes mixed in here. Very pretty and very unique. I'm not really even sure what the material is. It might be something that was put down in a sedimentary process. I'm not sure. But this is really pretty, and I like the color a lot. And there's some red mixed in on this one too. The other reason I thought sedimentary was because the outside of the rock is fairly flat and fractured, like it might have broken on natural lines. Okay, let's check out this rock. So from the outside, you can see we've got a number of different colors going on. It looks like dark blue or gray or maybe black with some of the classic deep red from the area. But what made this rock a little bit unique and made me want to pick it up was that it has these veins of what looks like crystal that are running around the top part of the rock here that we're looking at. So I was curious as to how that would translate to the inside, and that's pretty neat. We do have a multicolor, maybe multi-material inside with a reddish banded material down in the lower quadrant, and then a grayish with also bits of red mixed in on the rest of it. And the crystal veins do carry through, and those are very pretty. And I like the banding in the red portion, a bit chaotic. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here. You can see there's a little bit more variation in terms of the color, and you can see some of the banding there in that red part. I'm not totally sure what the crystal material is, whether it's quartz or maybe calcite, but very pretty, and there's a bit more of it that comes through on this half. Okay, that's it for this week. Thanks so much for checking out the rocks. Here's a sneak peek of the rocks that we'll be looking at next time. So make sure you tune in for that. And if you made it this far and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And I'll see you next time.